Yeah. Hi, Mags and Al. Mags and Al. You know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fitting name, huh? So today, we're gonna be doing a little story time, or specifically me.
Yep.
This is gonna be like a small little series thing where we tell the story of how we met our boyfriends. Or
boyfriends.
There was in our first video there was debate over if Eli was my boyfriend, but Allie said that he is. So we're just gonna go with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Words. All right. So
Start at the beginning.
Allie's will probably be posted first, and Allie's and Justin's, we just did it. It was really cute. So now I'm gonna do how I met Eli, and so let's get started. All right.
Begin.
It's gonna be on your phone.
Yeah.
All right. I wasn't on the phone for yours. Dick.
I'm just trying to set up our Instagram.
Okay.
Oh my.
It's fine. We'll go with it.
Okay.
So the story of how I met Eli, I personally think is very cute, but we'll go. Okay. So we were on a New York trip during spring break for band and choir, and Allie and her boyfriend went as well. And before this, obviously, it's how I met my boyfriend. So obviously, we had never met before. So I spent the entire trip, nothing super crazy. We took a bus on the way there, and it was, how long was it? 12 hours?
Extremely long.
I think it was
Way
like 12
too
or
long.
13 hours or something like that. Whatever.
14. It was 14.
It was 14 hours. It was 14 hours. And then, and so we got there in the morning, and we went about our day, and it was fine. Allie and I had the same chaperone, and it was actually Eli's mom. She's amazing. We love her.
Yeah.
We love her. She's amazing. But yeah, and it was fine, but I felt really homesick all day, like terribly homesick.
And we could see it.
It was obvious. But so Allie missed Justin as well, so we held hands and kind of hung out all day.
Yeah.
And it was nice. And my brother was on the trip as well. My brother was a senior, and I'm a sophomore. And so I was a sophomore. Now I'm a junior, but whatever. So he was a sophomore, or I was.
He was a sophomore. No.
I was a sophomore. He was a senior. So he was on the trip, and at dinner, Allie and I were very, we didn't really want to be with our group. We wanted to be, Allie wanted to be by Justin, and I wanted to be by my brother.
Our group was getting very angry with everyone.
Yes. We
so
all,
we're like, no.
We were all about to kill each other. So we're like, we'll just move. We'll sit by my brother and Justin, the guys, and
we sat in like a booth.
Yeah. The group was a really nice group. They were really nice and stuff, and the guys were
really nice.
They're called the Bugle Boys.
Yeah.
They invited us in and took us, as our own for the evening.
We were family.
We were. And so I sat across from my brother, and we were in a booth, like Allie said. Yeah. And Allie sat next to me, and then on the other side of me was Eli. And I had never talked to him before. I had seen him. I don't think he even knew who I was, what my name was, or anything.
Probably not.
I had seen him around. I knew a little bit about him, but I didn't know much. So, but it's also awkward to sit next to someone at dinner and not talk to them. So I made some very awkward conversation with him, and he seemed very uncomfortable with talking to me. Whatever. I remember I went and I asked him. I'm like, "So, are you excited to be in New York City?" And he's like, "No," and I'm like, "Why not?" And he's like, "'Cause I hate big cities." And I'm like, "Well, this was the best trip for you ever." Okay, but
eventually it just got so awkward. We just started asking random questions.
Yeah, we just asked random questions to everyone.
It was great,
and it was very awkward. But
for you guys, I enjoyed it.
Who asked you? Okay, it was nice. But then after dinner, we had to walk a couple blocks through Times Square to get to where our buses were picking us up. And I was going to hold hands with Allie, because like I said, we had been holding hands all day.
But I'm a ditching hoe, so...
but she was holding hands with Justin.
And Sequoia.
Her
Which is my wife.
Her wife. I'm her husband. And so I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, fine, Allie, I didn't want to hold hands with you anyway. And she's like, yeah, sure.
She's really crazy.
I was very upset. And but then after I said that, I'm like, you know, I really want to hold hands with someone.
She didn't feel safe.
I didn't, you know, it's a big city, and it was the first day in New York, so I was like very, very worried.
She had every right to feel unsafe because when Justin and I were walking, we were like walking sort of fast, and this guy walked by us. He's like, "Get the fuck out of my face!" And I just like go closer, and I feel so unsafe.
It was
scary.
The first day before we were used to everything.
Yeah.
And I was very homesick, and I just like did not feel safe. I didn't feel comfortable, and so I really wanted to hold hands with Allie, but you know she was holding hands with Sequoia and Justin. But I'm like, I really want to hold hands with someone. I don't feel safe, so I'm like just looking around, and I look slightly walking behind me was Eli, and I just like look at him, and I'm just like, hey, do you want to hold hands with me? And he gave me like, this bitch is crazy. He's like,
it was like, really funny.
He was like, okay. So I just grab his hand and we're just talking, and I'm a very like shy and awkward person, or more awkward than shy, but you know, I don't really talk to people, so this was like, I'm very shocked that I actually did that, but I also had a good feeling about him. I'm like, hey, he seems pretty cool. So we were walking, and we kind of made more awkward conversation on the way to the buses, and it was nice. And that also happened to be my sister's birthday. So when we got back to the hotel, I, you know, showered, got ready for bed, and my friends went down to the pool, but I wasn't feeling very well. So I just stayed in my room, and I called my sister, and I wished her a happy birthday and whatnot. I told her about my first day, and I mentioned that I held hands with this guy, and she's like, really? That's kind of weird. And I kind of explained it.
That's kind of weird.
She's like, yeah, that's pretty weird, Maggie. And I'm like, oh, well, you know, that's me.
Fine.
Pretty weird.
That's fine.
And I went, and I was like, all right, okay, whatever. Yeah. I was like, okay, whatever. And I'm like, she's like, well, who was it? I'm like, well, I don't want to give out specifics, because I'm like, you know, it was probably like a
ginger.
He is a ginger, it's fine. Or actually, he's not a ginger, he's strawberry blonde.
Sorry, he's strawberry blonde with red hair.
Strawberry blonde. But then, the next day, we went about our days. I hadn't talked to him all day. It wasn't anything abnormal. I hung out with Allie all day. But at dinner, again, I felt really, like, homesick. I felt really, like, unsafe and stuff. Not really unsafe, I just felt really homesick. So I went and I sat by my brother at dinner. And I went and I asked my chaperone, Lisa, Eli's mom, and I'm like, hey, do you mind if I just spend the rest of the night with Liam and his chaperone? Liam is my brother. I'm like, because, you know, I'm just really homesick. And she's like, yeah, you know, I understand, that's cool. So I went and I was walking with Liam, and we were going to the top of the Rock Observatory at, what is it, Rockefeller Center?
Oh.
It was really cool. It's like this really high up like place, and there are two like separate levels that are really high up, and you can walk around and look out.
There's a party rave room. Dude.
I'm talking. It was very chill. And so we're walking, and our group is or Liam's group that I became a part of was way behind the rest of the group. And then Liam was like, wait, I think we're forgetting someone. And he like did a head count. And he's like, yeah. He's like, oh wait, where's Eli? And he ended up getting left back at the restaurant. So we had to go back.
Really?
Yeah, he did. I think he was in the bathroom or something. He ended up getting left back at the restaurant. So we had to go back and get him. And somehow, even with us being behind the group, we got to Rockefeller Center before everyone else had.
What?
Yeah. And I wasn't talking with him while we were walking or anything. I think I talked to their chaperone. And we got to Rockefeller Center, and we were standing outside, and we got there way before everyone else. So we're just standing outside with our tickets, and we're talking. And I am standing kind of near Eli, and I just look over, and he's like, he looks really, like, unsure and very, like, uncomfortable. Well, I didn't know this yet. And I was going, and I was like, hey, you okay? I'm like, you don't look too good. And he was like, oh, well, I have a fear of heights, so this isn't going to be great. I'm like,
Sorry.
I'm like, oh, well, I have vertigo, which, you know, you get really dizzy, and especially with heights, it's not great. And he was like, oh, nice, and stuff.
Alright, not nice!
Not necessarily nice, but I was like, yeah, whatever. I also have a huge fear of elevators, so that was also not fun.
There were a lot of elevators.
There were a lot of elevators. So we went and we got in the elevator, and it was just Liam's group and stuff, and we were the first ones up because we were the first ones in line. And I'm like freaking out in the elevator, but I'm trying to keep my cool. And we walk out of the elevator, and I look over and it looks like Eli is gonna get sick or something, and I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, I'm not doing good after that elevator ride, and now this. I'm like, hey, do you want to hold hands? And he's like, yeah. And so then we held hands, and we walked around enough and stuff, and then we, you know, had to go to the higher level. So we got in the elevator. I'm shaking. It's terrible. We went up as far as we could go. We walked around, and oh my god, he was shaking. It was not good. And so I'm just like, hey, you want to go back down and just like sit outside or whatever? And he's like, all right. So we went in the elevator, we went down, and everyone was still like looking around, enjoying their time. So Eli and I were just like sitting on the floor outside of like where we were supposed to meet them. And so we're just sitting there waiting, and it was really nice. And we talked. It was nice. And it was really late when we got back. Sorry, the camera cut out again, so we're just gonna go. Where I left off, it was like an hour-long bus drive back to the hotel after the top of the rock.
Yep.
And the entire time I was thinking about Eli, and I'm just like, this kid seems like really cool, you know? And I'm like, all right. But then I'm like, you know, I kind of want to talk to this kid because, like I said, he seems pretty cool. And me thinking I'm like, you know, subtle and fly. I'm like, yeah. I came to the decision. I don't think Eli even knows this, but it's cool. If he watches this, he'll figure it out. I came to the decision that when I got back to my hotel, I was gonna get my night meds, I was gonna shower, I was gonna get ready for bed, and then I was just gonna casually Facebook message him.
Fucking Elliot.
I was just gonna casually Facebook message him and just be like, hey, thanks for holding my hand or whatever, you know, be super subtle.
So cute.
But, you know, I didn't want to make it seem like I was just like, you know, second we get back to the hotel, I message him.
Keep going.
So I was like, alright, okay, this works. So yeah, I went and I got my night meds, I took my shower, I got all ready for bed, and I was kind of talking to my roommates a little bit. And I was put in a room with two of my really close friends at the time. We're not super close now, but we're still friends. But I was talking to them, and I'm like, hey, yeah, I'm like, I talked to Eli and stuff, and I think things, like, he seems really cool, and we talked about it a little bit. Not tons, but a little bit. And then, my phone pings, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, it's probably just my sister or whatever. I continued the conversation I'm having. And then, like, a minute later, I look at my phone, and it was Eli. And he said something along the lines of exactly what I was going to say. And it was like, hey, thanks for holding my hand at top of the rock. And I'm like, oh my god. So we talked, like, we didn't talk for a while. We talked for a little bit. And then I'm like, hey, I should probably go to bed, you know, and stuff. And he's like, alright, good night, whatever. And we went to bed. And the next morning, I ended up getting switched into Eli and my brother's group.
Yeah.
She
left me.
I'm sorry, I love you. Because I just kept getting really homesick and stuff. So I got moved into their group, and it was the day that we were doing our performances, because, you know, we were in New York on a band and choir trip, so we were performing. And we were going to perform at the Intrepid Space and Air Museum, but it ended up getting canceled because they had us playing outside and it was raining. But yeah, I talked to Eli, and that was fun. And then we walked around a little bit, and that was fun. And then I had lunch with him and my brother and someone else. I think, I don't remember who it was, but it was someone else. It may have been Leaf, maybe. I don't remember. But it was fun.
Leaf is everywhere.
We went to the Empire State Building. Once again, he has a fear of heights. I have vertigo and a fear of elevators. So we were getting ready to, like, go up in the elevator and stuff. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, can we please hold hands? And he's like, yeah. And so we were just holding hands, and when we were up there, he was shaking.
I like it. Just like casual, like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's just like used to it. It's not even like, yeah, of course, it's just,
yeah.
Go on. He was shaking because you were high up.
Yeah, and we went back down, and we hung out with the group, and we had to wait a long time for buses and stuff. And we saw Miss Saigon and stuff, and
Miss Saigon was really good.
Miss Saigon was really good, but we both, like, at the end of it, we both jumped, like, 20 feet.
Why?
Because of the... I don't want to spoil it.
The suicide? The what? Oh, the gun.
Yeah.
There was a gun.
There was a gun
now.
and it went off and, like, we both, like, totally jumped, like...
I cried.
200 feet and it was terrible.
Probably not. Probably like one at most.
Exaggeration, Elliot. And stuff. Yeah, and then the final day of New York, we walked around Central Park and a little bit through Times Square again. And I was with his group again, and we talked, and it was really nice. And then we had the long bus back to home. And
small town, you know.
yeah, and we talked that entire rest of the day on the bus, because we were on separate buses, so we were texting. But we talked the entire time, up until bed. And then we talked in the morning, and then we talked like night and day, aside for when he had soccer practice, that entire week. Well, he didn't have soccer practice as much. But yeah, that entire week we talked all the time. And we talked, yeah. And yeah, it was really nice. It was kind of a long story, sorry. And then, but we were just friends then, and eventually prom was coming up, and I asked him to prom, and he said yes, and we went to prom, and we actually double dated with Allie and Justin. And
okay, but she kind of forced me to go, so our plan was Justin and I weren't gonna go to prom, and then Maggie's all like, "You're going anyways." So I'm just like,
"Wow." I had a date, and then I was like, "All right."
So I'm just like, well, kind of by default have to ask Justin now. And then I tried doing it over message, and he's like, "How dare you?" So I made him a really cute drawing, which he still has in his backpack. And I put a note on it, and yeah, we went to prom.
Well, and then there was me, who literally, I found out that Eli was going to prom, and I'm like, "Oh my god, Eli, will you go to prom with me?" And he's like,
Sure. Okay.
It was so unenthusiastic. I was like, alright.
He's an enthusiastic person.
Apparently.
But he's optimistic.
Yes, he is optimistic. He's optimistic, and I'm very pessimistic.
That's the thing. That is real. And stuff.
But yeah, we had a really nice time, and...
Is that all? Anything else you'd like to add?
That's all. Should we do our outro?
Yeah.
So thank you for watching. If you want to see more videos like this, you know, let us know.
You're gonna see more videos like this anyways.
Like, we just like making them. Alright. Like, comment, or subscribe. Hate comments, please. They're a must. We love them.
Of course.
Anything else?
No.
Alright, thank you for watching. We love you /hate you. JK, we only hate you.
Bye.